All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason Flame coming back at you on Master Motivation Podcast today. It's been a few weeks, but it's time for some Tuesday thoughts again with my co-host, Mr. Danny Cleary. Good afternoon, Danny.
What's up? How's it going? Good to be back.
It's good to be back. It's been a couple weeks of kind of busy, crazy, all that stuff, right? And our word of the day or this week. We're going to talk about priorities. And, when I texted you earlier, I said, if we don't schedule today and make it happen, I'm going to push it to next week. And so talking about priorities well, let's just jump in. So why don't you start first with your thoughts when it comes to the word priorities?
Man, I think that is, it's important. Obviously everyone needs to have priorities, but I think it kind of is different depending on, how you want to look at it. I think that we all have like our individual priorities when it comes to our whole life, like maybe it's your family, your faith, your job, your health, like we all have those kind of priorities that we kind of deal with every day. But I also think that there's a level of daily priorities, like whatever it is you need to get done in a day. So and those might change and fluctuate depending on what you've got going on. So I think that's for instance, for you today, you wanted this video to be a priority for you. You didn't want to let it, like, there are things that you can let fall by the wayside, and there are things that you need to prioritize. And I think that it's finding the balance of what can be left to another day, and what do you need to prioritize? Because let's face it, as humans, I think that people like yourself, like myself, like probably a lot of people that watch the Master Motivation podcast, they want to try to do everything all in one day or do everything all at once. And we have to remember that there's only so much time in a day, and that it's okay sometimes to go, hey, I have to handle A and B, so C and D have to wait. Right. And I think that's an okay thing, but I think we allow ourselves to get overly stressed when we can't do everything. And we need to remember that sometimes that's all right.
Yep. No, 100%. I mean, whether it's going to the gym, like for me, that's usually my first thing, even though I've got a list, a mile long of things that I got to get done for the day. I know that if I don't go to the gym first thing in the morning, if I don't make that a priority, I'm going to push it and push it and push it. Just like I was talking about with the video, if we don't do it, it's going to get pushed off. And, I got to go to the gym. And, there's things at the school where I have to kind of, I'm a list writer. So I write things kind of like in the order that they need to be done or in the order of importance. But you brought up something, and, part of us doing this podcast together, this short video series that we've been doing for a little while, is that let's talk a little bit more about, making your faith a priority, and how do you make practicing your faith, or what part of practicing your faith do you make a priority?
Super simple for me is on the most basic level. For me, it's I make sure that every Sunday I go to mass, no matter what. That's what I do. And if I can't say I have something to do on a Sunday, I'll go Saturday night. But I just make sure that I go to mass during the week. I go once a week, and that I don't skip that no matter what. Or I really, really try not to. The other thing is that's more simple, but is a daily, like we talk about those daily priorities, is I try to, pray, or for me, another word that I like to use is acknowledge God, every single day. So basically what, for me, that is, because for some people in their life, there's prayers that you say and all that good stuff, or you say grace with your family and all that. That was always very difficult for me growing up, and I'm a firm believer that you can find different ways to pray and all that. And for me, I have like a journal. And so each day I try to write down where I thought God was working or speaking to me in my life, in that day. And maybe it's as simple as, I was really tired, but I found the courage, or I found the strength to persevere through that tiredness and get what I needed to do done. Maybe it's something a little crazier. Like something happens that I can't really explain, but it was leading me to, it was advice that I got from someone or that I really needed to hear in a very specific way. And I will write that down and acknowledge that, because I think that a lot of times, like when people don't have a faith, they allow just like, wow, that was a crazy thing that happened. And for me, I just don't have that. Like, oh, what a crazy coincidence that happened. For me, it's that's God speaking or working in my life. And it's important for me to acknowledge that and go, nope, this was God. This wasn't just a crazy thing. This was God. And I think that makes the faith the priority, because it means that faith is always on my mind, or I'm always seeking throughout my day. Where is my faith? Where is God trying to speak to me today? And I think that's a daily thing that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You said one of the first things you said was that you make going to mass every Sunday a priority. I love to go to mass on Saturdays. That's
Sure.
usually my first choice. But if we don't make it in on Saturday, we're going to go on Sunday. So we do make it a priority to get to mass. And my wife and I were just on a little mini vacation, and we got a chance to go to a different church. We went to actually Holy Cross in Santa Barbara.
Nice.
I don't know if you knew that there was a Holy Cross there.
I do. Yes, I do.
So but we were on vacation, but it was still like, hey, it's Sunday. Let's find somewhere we can go to mass. And we've done this on other vacations when we've been out of the area, because sometimes you get comfortable going to your church. And so when you're out, but going is the priority. So we just find a place that we can go. The other thing is that you talked about, acknowledging God and our blessings. And for me, someone asked not too long ago on a podcast with a group of ladies that, how do you find your peace, or what do you do to find peace? And I kind of relate the two things together, because like literally every morning when my eyes open, it's always my priority to at least list 3, 4, 5 things that I am grateful for. And I mean, literally every single day, the first 3 things are my wife, my daughter, and my son, thanking God for, and then, I also started thinking about this, is that I have a friend who, I've known him for almost my entire life. And he's a really good friend of mine. And I don't think that he grew up in a faith-based home. They didn't go to church a lot, but lately we've been talking about it a little bit more. And it was just as simple as we had this conversation about like, there's got to be something bigger than us that gives us the ability to move our fingers and to talk, and to our brain, how it functions, and our body. And like, what a miracle just being alive and just being able to do what we do. Like when you kind of really go back to the simple basics and think about stuff like that, it's like, how can you not acknowledge that God is in charge of that,
Right.
because, I mean, I know there's other theories, right?
100%. And I've gotten into many debates on social media or whatever with people that are, and it's totally fine. Like I'm, whatever you want to think and whatever you want to believe is, and whatever gets you out of bed and whatever makes your life fulfilled in your way, that's great. For me, it's that exact thing. There's too much going on for me to not acknowledge. I actually, I was on a podcast recently with a friend. I can't talk too much about it yet, but I was talking about the topic of how do you believe, right? And this is a little off topic from our word today, but he goes, how do you believe in something like a God? And I told him, well, there's so much bad in this world, and there's also so much good. And if I don't have God in my life, then like when I'm having the worst day or when something really horrible happens, that's the most powerful thing in my life. Or when something really great happens, that's the most powerful thing. And then when that goes away, it can be difficult. Mm-hmm. But for me in my life, there's really amazing things and there can be really bad things. But above all of that is God, who's always bigger than everything. And so when something is really great, amazing, and I can give thanks to God that I had it. Yeah. And when something is really horrible, I know that I'm going to get through it, because at the end of the day, God's bigger than this thing. And so I don't ever want there to be anything in life that's, you know, emotional or something bad that can happen or good that can happen, that's the most powerful thing in my life, because God's the most powerful thing. And that just helps me cope with and deal with all things that life throws.
Yep. Well, and as we're having this conversation, again, we're a little off topic on the priorities, but just going off of what you said, I have another friend on Facebook recently that said, I'm no longer ashamed or embarrassed to admit that I go to church or that I talk about God or I talk about my faith. And like, I don't think that you need to be, you don't need to be ashamed or afraid of that. And on the flip side, like what you said, like, hey, if you don't believe in God, like, I'm not going to throw it down your throat, but maybe look within and at least learn. And this was the thing about the friend of mine who grew up in a home that I don't believe was totally faith-based. And I don't believe that he went to church, but he's starting to recognize things as he's, he's my age. So he's a little bit older and he's starting to kind of look around and think. And it's almost like, God is working through him to open his eyes a little bit more, which I thought was like pretty powerful.
Look, I tell kids every day, and I tell people every day, that like now is the hardest time to prioritize your faith or to have living your faith be a priority in your life, because that idea of your friend being able to having to say and declare that he's not ashamed to say it, because being ashamed or being embarrassed to say is a very real reality that a lot of people live with, that I have lived with before, depending on the crowd I'm with or whatever, because it's not super popular nowadays to say, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Catholic, or I believe in God. I believe in a higher power that has a plan for my life. That's just, we just don't live in a world anymore. I tell all the time, I say, I think we live in a godless world a lot of the time. And I wish if more families and people prioritize a relationship with God or the values that God wants you to value in your life, a lot of times I think that people would be a lot happier. I know for me, prioritizing my faith gives me a lot of fulfillment and peace in my life when a lot of other things can be very draining. The reason faith is always a huge priority is because faith is something that pours into me that doesn't require that I pour into it. And it's just very, very something that I'm very thankful to have in my life.
Well, I'm glad that we did jump on, as I always am. Right? We say it every week, every time we do the video. Oh man, we had a good conversation today. We had a good talk, right? And just to be able to spread this message, if anybody takes anything away from it, it's a good thing that we do it, right? So I'm happy that you joined me today. We talked a little bit about prioritizing our life, things in our life, but also prioritizing our faith, acknowledging God. And I look forward to doing it again next week. Let's get back on track. And if you guys have something that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. Give us a topic, give us a word, and we'll give you your thoughts. We're just hanging out and having this chat. And this is something that Danny and I would probably do in the gym anyway, but you guys get to be a part of it today. So I hope that everybody appreciates it, and please share it, and we'll see you guys next time. Any thoughts to finish, Danny?
Not really. I hope that everyone I know it's a big week for a lot of people, graduations and all kinds of stuff if you got kids, and it's a very, very exciting week. And so when speaking on that priority thing, remember, in all the busyness of all the things that are going to happen, all the parties and all the things you got to get to and all the ceremonies, remember to prioritize the moments of gratitude and the moments to really appreciate the blessing of where you are in the moment of your life. There's moments you can't get back. You get to have them and experience them one time. And I think a lot of us, when we have these great big things that happens, we're prioritizing where to go next or what we need to do or who's there or what picture we need to take, instead of prioritizing that moment and enjoying the moment and the memory that we only get once. So in this time of graduations and fun and family and accomplishments, prioritize enjoying the moment, because you don't get it back.
I agree. And with a son who is graduating, I hope to savor every moment of it, because I can't believe that I've got 2 adult kids now. How did that happen? How did that happen? Well, guys, listen, as Danny said, prioritize enjoying the moments in life. Enjoy those precious moments. So that's it for today, guys. This is Master Motivation Podcast. Go check it out on YouTube, Master Motivation Podcast. Subscribe, share, comment, do your thing. Let us know. We'll be back next week. Thank you, guys.
Peace.